we're going to win.
I'm marching.
Why is the police here? Why don't they allow you to have a march?
Because they want to agitate a peaceful protest. That's
Free Palestine! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free!
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. On the program today, protests at the Democratic Convention in Chicago, memorial for the 1,400 and more killed by poison gas in Syria, protests in Danbury, Connecticut, and upcoming events in New England. We begin with video from Steve Zeltzer at the DNC in Chicago.
And hundreds of other war criminals are here in Chicago to celebrate themselves. So I want to ask y'all, after more than 300 days of genocide, what is there to celebrate? All right, y'all, let's keep fighting. We're going to win.
I'm marching.
Why is the police here? Why don't they allow you to have a march?
Because they want to agitate a peaceful protest. That's what I think it is. For them to be blocking off this street and not giving us the entire street is making it difficult for the thousands, tens of thousands of people to fall into a straight, steady line going down the street. So it's just ridiculous. This is the tactic that they feel that they using to protect who? Because we protecting us, as you can see. There's nothing going wrong with our protests. They just here to get on our nerves.
Same thing that the black community in the slavery, in the segregation, this is what the Palestinian working for. We don't want segregation. I was born, raised in Jerusalem. I'm not allowed to be citizen. Palestinian, Christian, and Muslim are not allowed to be citizen. Only Jews. We here demanding and fighting for our equal rights.
Great character, Jews united against Zionism. Well, with the help of the Almighty, we are Jews, and because we are Jews, true to our religion, we are in total opposition to the genocide in Gaza, to the occupation of Palestine.
My name is Victoria Hinckley. I'm 22 years old. I'm an organizer with Students for a Democratic Society in Tampa, Florida, and also with National SDS, and we're here today as part of the coalition to march on the RNC, and we're proud to march and lead with the student contingent here today to demand an end to U.S. aid to Israel, to demand that the genocide be ended, and to call out the Democrats for being guilty of genocide.
Lily, Jewish person who's a anti-Zionist.
And what do you think about the fact that the Zionists are saying if you're against Israel, you're anti-Semitic?
This is not true. I'm Jewish, and I don't know, like that's my culture, that's my religion. So how can I be anti-Semitic?
My name is Tony Jones. I'm the chair of New Orleans for Community Oversight Police. We're a local affiliate in New Orleans of the National Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression. In New Orleans, we've had kind of a very hard experience fighting our blue city and our red state on the question of war in Palestine and genocide. In our community, we've experienced local New Orleans residents being murdered by the Israelis in Palestine, and we have yet to get our city council to stand up and actually acknowledge Palestine at all. They won't mention it by name. They won't pass a real ceasefire resolution that calls for the immediate end of all aid to Israel, and they won't acknowledge the fact that we have a local Palestinian young man by the name of Tawfiq, who was murdered by the IOF. They don't acknowledge it at all, and so we've been fighting them tooth and nail since October. Just on.
How was he murdered? What happened to him? What happened to him?
So he was a New Orleans resident, and he, after October 7th, he was visiting home, and the IOF claimed that he was throwing rocks, and so they claimed that was justification for murdering him. But I believe that story, not after all that I've seen, and I don't think that I can, or myself or any others who came from New Orleans can rest until we see justice for our, fellow.
Seems like they have carte blanche to do what they want, to murder people.
That's what it seems like to us, and but we have every right and every power to stop them, because all of their power comes from funding in the U.S., and all of the money in the U.S. comes from working day people like us. So we're going to fight, and this is how we fight back.
I interviewed Zeltzer over Zoom on August 23rd. I'll be speaking to Steve Zeltzer, a journalist who works with Workweek at Pacifica and a member of the Pacifica Media Workers Guild. And he works with the United Front Committee for a Labor Party. He hosts the TV program Labor Video Project. Good morning to you over there on the West Coast.
Good morning, Stan.
So you were at the convention and saw the protests. When did you get to Chicago?
I got to Chicago on the 18th. And joined the protest on the 19th. Actually, I was at the 68 protest, so I wanted to see what the difference was.
Oh boy, we could get into that a little later. But so the first protests you saw were the 19th, which was Monday?
That's correct, yeah.
So could you describe what you saw?
Well, it was there was several thousand people there, and a large number of Palestinian activists, different organizations that were supporting this coalition, the Palestinian Coalition. And I interviewed a lot of people. I mean, unfortunately, there were no union contingents at all, which I found interesting. And considering that there are unions that say that they're for a ceasefire or say that they're supporting the Palestinians, they weren't evident at this rally and march, so I felt that was a problem. But it was a good spirited march. The police also tried to stop people from marching. They hadn't been able, but eventually they negotiated with the police. They allowed them to march near to a park about 2 blocks from the convention. You could see the convention, and then they walked down. From there to through the streets of Chicago back to the original park. So that's what it was.
So you say you could see the convention. That sounds kind of like far away.
The convention building 2 blocks away. Yeah.
So could the convention? Could the people at the convention, the delegates, see you if they?
No. It was completely barricaded. They had fences up, like a secure zone, double fences that they had surrounding the place. So it was a very fenced-in place that prevented people from really getting close. And you had the police, the Secret Service, and they were prepared. And unlike 68, people weren't ready to go to war.
Yeah.
And people felt. I mean, I think there was some disappointment. They had large numbers of placards, which they put out, and they weren't picked up. I think they expected at least 20, 30,000, or at least 10,000. They didn't get that. So there was high expectations. But I think that the changed over to Harris, Kamala Harris, deflated their hopes of getting a large number of people. If it had been Biden, there'd been much larger participation.
Yeah. So what are some of the signs? What were people carrying? What was the popular sign?
Stop the genocide. Basically, U.S. stop the genocide. There was one South African woman who carried a sign comparing Israel and South Africa. what Israel is doing. And there were a lot of signs around U.S. bombing, or U.S. role in supporting the genocide. So a lot of different signs around that issue. So there was, I think that the at least this rally, the tenor was to get the Democrats to do the right thing, to get the Democrats to stop the military aid going to Israel. That was the focus of it, and support a ceasefire. So that was pretty much the focus of it.
Mm, yeah. So that was the first day, that Monday. So there was also speeches, I assume.
Yeah, there is Cornel West. I mean, different activists spoke, Palestinians and Americans and other activists. There was one teacher from Chicago who spoke at the rally, and there were good speeches. But I mean, one of the things that was not really talked about was the role of the trade union leadership.
I guess, we had hoped for more from labor. I mean, labor had always been lockstep with it, with the Zionists and Israel. And then after this let's say November or December of last year, a lot of unions called for ceasefire or this or that, but it sort of petered out.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, the trade, with some small exceptions, the trade union leadership of the United States are pro-capitalist. They openly support capitalism, and they openly support imperialism. The United States budget of trillions of dollars going to the war, that's not opposed by any major national union. Mm-hmm. Trillions of dollars going to war, the war machine for war profiteering. There's no union that said stop it.
So on Tuesday, that was the second day that you observed protests. How was that? Was it different? Was it bigger, smaller?
It was smaller on Tuesday. And there was a protest. I was an additive of about 50, 100 people at the Israeli consulate, but there were more police, like 1,200 police or something like that, and they arrested people. I heard 72 people were arrested, and they were high, concentration of police. But unlike '68, there weren't masses of people prepared to fight. In '68, you had a revolutionary movement. I would say that this thing was people wanted reform of the Democratic Party. That was the tenor.
Yeah.
People want the Democratic Party to do the right thing, and that's and to support the Democratic Party against Trump and the fascist forces.
So talk about '68. Were you a student then, or?
I was a student there, and I came from San Francisco. I was in SDS, but that was, a anti-imperialist demonstration, and also the Democratic Party, Mayor Daley wanted to crush this demonstration. They called in the National Guard, and I think that the mayor of Chicago is Democrat, a former teacher, much slicker. He didn't want a confrontation. They did not want a confrontation. I mean, they did learn from '68. It's not good to have a confrontation with protesters in the middle of a national convention.
A little more from Chicago. This from Unicorn Riot about the protest on August 20th.
We should stop moving. For the fucking hate-licking motherfuckers protecting them. Move forward, move forward. Palestine will be free. Free, free, Palestine. Free, free,
Hey, what's your name?
It's what? Move back, you got chance, go! Move back! On the ground, name, date of birth!
Back up, turn around. Here, stop.
Media, you gotta get behind the bikes. How many times I gotta tell you? I'm
You're gonna pull your press bikes
Behind the bike.
behind the bikes.
Press. Out now. Steve, somebody cuff this guy.
Wait, he's pressed.
I did not make the rest. I did not make the rest. I did not make the rest. Put that on the camera.
Gaza's still under attack.
Gaza's still under attack.
So we'll be back.
But we'll be back.
So we'll be back.
But we'll be back.
August 21st was exactly 11 years after Assad's mass murder of at least 1,400 people in one day in East and West Ghouta by poison sarin gas. No one has ever been punished. A number of us gathered in Union Square in Manhattan and held signs and banners. Also at Union Square, there's been this effort for years on the surface of a building. A clock, a climate clock, to warn us that we have very little time left to either make major changes or face many, many horrible natural disasters. The clock says we have less than 5 years. More at the site, climateclock.world. The legendary TV host Phil Donahue died this week. I interviewed him in 2013, just before he was to speak for Promoting Enduring Peace about a film he had produced called Body of War. It was about an Iraq veteran dying from his injuries. You can listen to the whole interview by going to our website's homepage. We also link to Donahue's comments that night when he showed the film, and you can watch the film now entirely for free. You remember the murder in February of 6-year-old Hind al-Rajab in Gaza, who begged for help as she died from wounds within a few feet of an ambulance that had been sent to help her, an ambulance that had been blown up by an Israeli tank. The Night Won't End, an Al Jazeera film, delved into her killing in detail. But what about the United States, who supplied the money to Israel and likely the munitions to kill Hind? In February, a Biden spokesperson said they were very concerned and awaited an Israeli investigation. That's usually the end of things with the media, but at least one journalist kept asking questions doggedly. He's Prem Thakker, formerly of The Intercept, and now a journalist at Zedio, the enterprise set up by Mehdi Hassan. Thakker kept asking the Biden spokesperson about the investigation, and he asked again and again. There's video of him doing this and of the spokesperson's empty, revolting answers. We link to it in our archive, Palestine, Israel. Easiest way to get to it is by shining your phone at this QR code. How many Palestinians have died directly from Israeli attacks in Gaza? Palestinian statistics have registered over 40,000 people that they know by name. If they report the figure at all, the U.S. corporate media religiously notes that the numbers are coming from a Hamas-controlled health ministry. But here's another number. In addition to those known to be killed, the very respected American group Save the Children says 20,000 children are missing. They are most likely under the rubble or lost or in a mass grave. In Danbury, Connecticut, a few days before the Democratic Convention, protesters showed their disgust at the politicians.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine! From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terror state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terror state.
Justice is our demand. No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land.
Justice is our demand.
Justice is our demand.
No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land.
Resistance is justified.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terror state. 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more. 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terror state.
Justice is our demand. No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land.
Justice is our demand.
Justice is our demand.
No peace on stolen land.
No peace on stolen land.
Resistance is justified.
Judged by the horn honking and remarks by passers-by, the reaction to the demonstration was entirely positive. You notice that we had two of these banners remembering the Israeli-U.S. missile strike that killed Muhammad Abu al-Qumsam's newborn twins, his wife, and his mother-in-law. Israel surpassed this atrocity just a week later with another one, killing the wife of Ashraf al-Attar and her 10-year-old quadruplets and 2 other children. 7 murders in all. There's a lie that's being spread around that blacks and Palestinians don't get along. You can imagine whom this divide and conquer story helps. To counteract, there's a rally next Wednesday at 5:30 in Hartford at the Capitol. MEC is one of the co-sponsors. By the way, we talked recently about the April figure of 7,000 Israeli soldiers injured since October. Well, as of August, the Israeli Ministry of Defense Rehabilitation Department says there's been over 10,000 Israeli soldiers injured. If we can't appeal to Israelis on the basis of cruelties done to Palestinians, maybe they will listen and consider because of what is happening to their own soldiers. Prem Thakker will be giving the Schaefer Lecture for promoting enduring peace. He's written a lot about bold climate efforts that can come not from the big corporate or government bureaucracies, but from the people down below. He'll be speaking on September 14th in the middle of the afternoon, that's Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Unitarian Universalist Society in Hamden. Here's a bit of Thakker some time ago talking about climate activist efforts from below.
There's also been growing resistance to fossil fuel extraction in places like South Africa. Patrick Bond, who I mentioned earlier, South Africa-based scholar and activist, really one of the, if not the most prolific writer on climate justice over the last 20 years. I highly recommend Patrick's work. He co-wrote his chapter in the book with a colleague, Mythica Mwenda, who is the founder of the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance that played an important role in some of the negotiations leading up to the Paris Agreement in 2015, many episodes, as well as Nemo Bassi, who also has an early chapter in the book. The two of them both played an important role in helping educate African delegates to the UN climate conferences and helping organize a number of walkouts.
Finally, we record on Ukraine Independence Day, August 24th. It's been celebrated since 1991. Slava Ukraina! That's our program for today. See us next week at this time. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.